Sam went back to the building, ignoring the questions and comments of the guards in the lobby, and rode the elevator back up to the 35th floor, where he sat slumped at the guard station, chain-smoking cigarettes and trying to make sense of the events of the wee small hours. But they didn't make sense. The mystery lady. Who was she? Who was she? The executives and office workers began arriving after 6:30 a.m., so Sam made a concerted effort to pull himself together and start opening procedures. But he must have still looked upset, for Ernst, his supervisor, had no sooner waddled in before he said, "What's the matter with you?" Sam tried to brush it off, but eventually Ernst got the whole story out of him. "You know what your problem is, Sam," Ernst said sententiously. "Your problem is you need to get laid." "Ah, gee, thanks for the sage advice." "I could arrange something for you, my friend." "Yeah, and how many tons is she?" Sam got off at 8 a.m. He usually grabbed a breakfast of bacon and eggs at an old greasy spoon on Lower Bay Street before taking the long ride up the University line for home. But first, he headed for the brand new in 1983, Instant Tellers in the lobby of the Bank of Montreal skyscraper to get some needed coin. And it was there. There, across the humongous lobby, he saw the girl, the one at the periphery of his life, as she always seemed at the periphery of his vision. Sam generally saw her at a distance, on the other side of the cafeteria, or the pub, at the far end of a corridor, walking in from the parking lot, always in a crowd, always at a distance. But he was instantly aware of her whenever she was in his vicinity. He would look up and see her, and their eyes would lock in recognition, no matter how far away. And their eyes locked now. She stood waiting for him as he walked across the huge marble floor towards her, her long black overcoat giving her a gunslinger look. As he approached, her luminous gray eyes were magnets, drawing him to her, both physically as well as psychically. And then he was facing her, close enough to smell the heady musk of her perfume. Hello," he said lamely. Sam had a way with words. "Not. Do not go to work tonight." "Why not?" "Do not go to work tonight. Call in sick or quit, but do not go to work. Otherwise, you will not be alive this time tomorrow." "So that was really you? In the executive suite?" She didn't deny it. But what's going to happen tonight? Is something going to happen to the building?" "I can say no more. I have done too much already. But there are forces surrounding you that aim for your destruction. For the last time, do not attend work tonight." And then she was gone. 1 second, Sam was talking to her face to face, and then, in the blink of an eye, she vanished. Gone. Just gone. Sam was looking wildly around the lobby when a snotty voice said, "Would you mind moving, please?" Sam turned to see a well-dressed yuppie regarding him. Him in his security uniform, with annoyance. and disdain. Mumbling an apology, Sam got out of the way. Sam was no longer hungry, so he took the long ride back to the burbs. Sam had a basement flat in the boondocks at the edge of town. The first thing he did after getting home was to grab a cold X from the fridge, sitting down on his saggy couch to drink it, still wearing his security uniform. In fact, Sam was so agitated, he didn't at first notice the scent in the air. A sultry musk. Sultry musk? Had she been here? Instantly, Sam was on his feet. It didn't take him long to search his one-bedroom apartment, although he lingered momentarily in the doorway of his bedroom in vain hope. But she wasn't there, of course. Sigh. Maybe I should let Ernst hook me up after all, he said to himself. And then Sam did what troubled men have done since time immemorial. He got drunk. And when he got drunk, he liked to go outside. So later that morning, he stuffed his pockets with a couple of stubbies and shambled off into the woods at the top of the street. It was a semi-rugged patch of deciduous trees, bisected by dirt paths, sitting on the edge of a reservoir. There were a few picnic tables around, but it was a wild park, and Sam encountered few people any time he walked the rough trails. It had been a cool spring, and while some of the trees were sprouting leaves, most were still barren with gray skeletal branches. Sam waited until he was out of sight of the nearby road, then cracked a fresh beer, raising the bottle to his lips and taking a long, bitter swig. Sam hid his beer behind his back as he looked wildly around. Had the cops or somebody seen him drinking in the woods? But there was no one there. He hurried further into the trees and came to a place where the path dipped down into a little hollow, where he would be out of sight and could drink in peace. But as he reached it, he heard a voice call, "Sam." He ran down into the hollow, but there was no one to be seen, and no place anyone could hide. And when he got to the very bottom, he heard the voice again. "Sam." Sam climbed up the other side, and came out of the depression into a glade which held a few picnic tables and some embedded rocks which were large enough to sit on. But there was no one there, and no sign anyone had recently been there. "Sam." The voice came from a side trail leading down to the reservoir. Sam went down to the very water's edge, but did not encounter a single living soul. He sat down on a fallen tree trunk, a place where he had often sat when he wanted to think or smoke. What was happening to him? That voice, was it real or simply in his mind? The beer didn't help him think, and was it the girl's voice? If only he could hear it again, more slowly. And then it came from every corner of the thicket. "Sam, Sam, Sam, Sam." He stood, trying to hear clearly amidst the cacophony of sound. Was it her voice? He couldn't tell. He was almost sure, on the verge of recognition, but the repetition echoed, Sam, Sam, utterly confused him. It had suddenly become very dark. It was early afternoon, but it felt like dusk, the dark clouds gathering overhead. Sam drained his beer, tossed the empty into the bushes, and set off for home. At first just walking, but then starting to run, as the voices surrounded him, repeating his name over and over and over, and becoming increasingly menacing. He had to get out of there. He had to get out of there. It had begun to rain, and he barely made it back home before the skies opened up in a torrential downpour. The apartment was filled with the scent of sultry musk. Her scent, her smell. He searched through the apartment, but of course, he was alone. All alone. Sam lay down on the couch and passed out. To be continued.